This is the only sub $30 true wireless earbud I'd ever buy. I always looked at this really cheap but popular market and laughed it off. It's filled with what's essentially e-waste. If anyone ever asked me for a sub $30 true wireless, I'd simply say to save up or stick with wired. However, after 3 months of use, Moondrop's second edition of its critically acclaimed space travels have now given me a new recommendation. For $30, the unboxing isn't glamorous at all, though it's what I expect for this price. It is sweet, succinct, and the bare minimum is here. The earbuds are up for display, and you've got to remove this plastic film to get to your earbuds. You get the earbuds in its controversially lidless case, a USB-C charging cable, and the provided ear tips in small, medium, and large sizes. There is some extra art, of course, surprisingly a QC note and your usual manuals and warranties. Again, nothing special, just the essentials. The earbuds expectedly are made up of matte plastic. For $30, it's the standard. The earbuds themselves are very light, comfy and airy, and the tips are just simply stock rubber ear tips. Nothing special, but it gets the job done with a good seal. The black version I have is more simple in its design. There's some odd green highlights on the back, but it isn't anything too showy or flashy. The highlights are also where the touch button is. There's also a weird square grille, which I presume to be for the mic. It's an interesting design choice I've never really seen before. Here we come to the most controversial aspect of this true wireless, the lidless case. Either a design quirk or a cost-saving measure or both, there is, well, no lid. The earbuds are exposed to the elements. Dust, grime, dirt, anything in your linty pockets can get into the case, and I have seen that with needing to wipe off dust after, for example, going for a run with the case in my pocket. Taking it out and putting it back in is relatively easy. I don't think I've dropped it trying to do either. You just slip it in and slide it out. Though I can understand why some people tout this design as an easy way to just drop your earbuds. The magnets are strong enough to hold the earbuds in place, though I do find that if you throw the case in a bag, the earbuds can actually slide out from other things rubbing against it. This has actually led to either one or both of my earbuds being dead after being slightly nudged out of its case in my bag for the entire day. In my opinion, the lidless case design isn't really all too bad. There's some downsides, but it's not a turn off for me. Now, this might be an ick, but I never really liked having the charging port on the bottom. It just looks really weird when charging, especially since this obviously doesn't have wireless charging. The design is meant to be cyberpunky, and there's a bit of retro with the name on the front and Moondrop's logo on the back. For me, I don't really care about this. The fit is by far one of the best, surprisingly. I never expected such a comfortable fit from the toothbrush-styled form factor, as a wise man once said. It is light, airy, and has a really good seal. It kind of just disappears into your ears. I for one have really tiny ears, and I've praised tiny IEMs like the Chew 2s for accommodating us tiny-eared people. And the Space Travel 2s by comparison are much better in fitting into the ear and staying there comfortably. The fit is a shallow fit, meaning it doesn't have to protrude too deep in your ear, but the ear tips are grippy enough to stay inside for even things like going on runs. Though I wouldn't recommend it for intense physical activity, as it does not have any official water resistance rating, so depending on how much you sweat and how much you use it for, use it at your discretion. Moondrop advertises the battery life to be about 7 hours with standard no ANC AAC use, with the case providing up to 24 hours of extra battery life. In my use, it does get around 6 to 7 hours without ANC on, and that does drop to about 3 to 4 hours with ANC on. It's not bad, it's not amazing either. It will definitely be more than enough for those long commutes to work and school, but you may have to consider charging the earbuds if you plan to use them all day. Like any other true wireless in this price range, the mic's pretty terrible. It's serviceable, it works, but don't expect AirPods Pro 3 quality. Take a listen. This is a sound test of the Moondrop Space Travel 2s. This is a sound test of the Kmart USB microphone.
This is a sound test of the Moondrop Space Travel 2s.
This is a sound test of the Kmart USB microphone. The ANC is another hot topic of this IEM. It is its flagship feature for its incredibly low price. Moondrop says that they have a new NPU with hardware level noise cancelling compared to the Space Travel 1's ENC. Now, I don't have the Space Travel 1's, so I can't really make any comparisons. However, the Space Travel 2's ANC is okay. It exists, it's there, it will cut down background noises, hums, stuff like that, and it's just about average. From my experience, it's able to drown out, engine noises for example, but anything louder than a vacuum cleaner or a busy bus still can be heard. But remember, this is $30. You want more, you pay more. The pass-through is decent as well, although I do notice this electronic hissing you get in them, but overall the pass-through does remove the in-ear pressure you get when using earbuds. Surprisingly enough, the earbuds support Bluetooth 6.0 with AAC and SBC codecs, no LDAC unfortunately, unless you get the Ultra Edition. There is of course a companion app, the Moondrop app, that actually gives you a whole lot of customization options. You can have preset reference, bass plus and bass minus options, but most importantly you get their online interactive DSP. In this you can do so much, and it is what separates the enthusiast audio space from the standard listener. You get access to parametric EQ, giving a lot of control over your sound, and you can even install presets of other earbuds such as the Blessing 3s, Dusks, Arias, and a lot more. Plus, the app also allows the Space Travel 2s to have multi-point connection, and I can switch relatively seamlessly between devices. There is also a gaming mode that is meant to reduce latency down to around 55 milliseconds, but I don't use it honestly. So the app is pretty impressive, especially for more power users who want that full control over their earbuds sound. Though I do have one gripe. For some reason, regardless of the gain options in the settings, the volume is extremely hard to control. It just jumps from really quiet to really loud, and I can't do much about it. I've tried playing around with a lot of options, but hey, it could just be a me issue. Moving on to the sound, the Moondrop Space Travel 2 presents overall a neutral sound signature with a little bit of boost in the bass regions alongside some sparkle for the top end. I was kind of expecting the KZ type of tuning, especially with the bass, but the bass response is actually pretty nice. There is a noticeable bass boost, particularly in the mid bass, however, it doesn't drown out or impede upon other frequencies. The bass is punchy, dynamic, maintaining overall clarity while appealing to more energetic of tastes. The mids are quite balanced as well, with a little bit of extra emphasis in the upper mids, which is why vocals actually do decently well on this pair. The lower mids are raised just enough to give enough warmth and body, and the upper mids, as I've said, have a bit of extra weight in them that results in a more forward vocal presentation. Overall, the vocals are done tastefully for me. It's your classic neutral vocal leading recipe that a lot of IEMs now take, and it works. It suits my taste personally. For the treble, I was kind of hoping there would be some crazy changes to the status quo, but no, this earbud follows all the tuning norms. The treble has a bit of sparkle added to it, probably to make it more palatable than a literal straight line on a graph, and the sparkle does help. It does color the sound, adding a bit more excitement and adds a bit of detail in these higher regions. However, Moondrop definitely knows its target audience, so the treble is still reined in to avoid sibilance and excessive sharpness. Personally for me, I like this sort of safe tuning. It adds the extra energy I was missing from really reference-focused IEMs such as the Clinical Reds, while still maintaining a neutralish signature overall. The soundstage is about average. It's wide enough so that it doesn't feel closed in too much, but obviously it's beaten out by other choices more expensive than it. The timbre and instrument separation is also somewhat average. It can be hard at times to discern the more subtle instruments in the background, and nuances and those little micro details are, in my opinion, either there or just hard to pick up. Overall, the tuning is very safe, it's palatable for most people, a neutral signature with a bit of warmth and sparkle. This true wireless overall is an amazing value for money proposition. For $30 you get all the essentials, a decent battery life, ANC, a solid companion app, and of course a palatable tuning for most people. There are a few shortcomings, notably in the design department with the lidless case, but it's $30. We need to manage our expectations. If you're looking for an ultra budget true wireless earbud that punches well above its weight class, and if you're willing to suffer the case that comes with it, this might be a new companion for your listening sessions.